a secret? Some of the best used electric cars aren't the ones that everyone talks about. Look at this. The Kia e-Niro. It's not flashy. It's not going to win any beauty contest. It probably won't be the car that your neighbours stop to admire. But for under 10 grand, it's going to give you over 250 miles of real world range. Loads of kit, impressive reliability, and enough practicality for family life. I think it might be one of the best used EV bargains you can buy today. But consider this our little secret. Please, whatever you do, don't go telling the whole internet.
So let me introduce you to the first generation Kia e-Niro. This thing arrived in the UK in 2019. Huge milestone in the evolution of electric cars. In fact, you know what? I would say that this was the electric car that suddenly made the Nissan Leaf look kind of out of date. I remember when over 280 miles of range felt like science fiction. People couldn't quite believe it. But I'm now speaking to you from 2026. And I can tell you that the most impressive thing about this car, and the reason it still deserves your attention, is that actually it gets remarkably close to those figures in the real world. Brilliant for peace of mind, and you will no longer have to lie awake at night wondering if your battery is just suddenly going to give up on you. Now, the first generation of the e-Niro, it was offered with a couple of different battery options. There was either the 39 kilowatt hour or the 69 kilowatt hour NMC pack, which managed either 180 or 282 miles of WLTP range. Now, this one has the bigger battery, and this is quite interesting because our editor, Vicky, she lived with one of these for nearly a year. She did a lot of miles in it. And you're not going to believe this, she was getting over 5 miles per kilowatt hour in the summer, but even on the motorway. I mean, that's basically unheard of. I am questioning whether she is indeed a wizard or not. More on that soon. But that basically equates to over 300 miles of range. So even in winter, she reckons you can see between 3.5 and 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's the equivalent of 220 miles or more. Looking very positive. As for the 39 kilowatt hour, well, that's a bit harder to find because it wasn't as popular. It wasn't on sale for quite as long. So I'd say you probably would get more between 140, 190 miles in real world range, but it's going to be harder to come by. Now, if you are looking at buying a used electric car, which you probably are if you're watching this, well, the website is exactly where we help people avoid the usual mistakes. We list used cars, but with the context that actually matters, like battery warranties and guides with what to watch out for. Now, if you're watching on a TV or a computer, you can scan the QR code and browse on your phone while the video keeps playing. Now, of course, batteries do degrade over time. So when you're considering a used Kia e-Niro or any EV, to be honest, the best advice I can give you is that you should get a certified battery health check with a decent used car dealership, and they will be able to provide that for you. It doesn't take long. You'll get a printout showing you what percentage of the battery is still usable, which is great for peace of mind and for working out what real world range might be on the car that you're considering. So if you are looking at a 64 kilowatt hour car with a 95% battery health remaining, that will do 95% of the real world range that it was capable of new. Now, the Niro itself has got a great reputation for battery durability, so don't be put off if you see cars on sale with a high mileage. There's actually quite a few cars out there with close to or even over 100,000 miles, but they have well over 90% of their battery life remaining, so check that out. However, where the e-Niro does start to show its age is with the charging, because that only peaks at 80 kilowatts. Having said that though, you still get 10 to 80% top up in around 45 minutes. Not too bad. Or a 100-mile top up will take about half an hour. So very livable. You just need to be prepared for the longer charging times. Now, this might be a fairly old car, but it does use the same CCS and Type 2 sockets as pretty much every EV out there. So it's compatible with all the home chargers or the public charging stations out there. But it's good to know. It's reassuring, isn't it? The other thing worth knowing is that every Mk1 e-Niro got adaptive cruise control as standard. If you went for the 3.4 or the launch edition, then you would also get semi-autonomous drive mode. So it will do things like keep you in lane, brake to keep your distance from the car in front, and also creep along in traffic for you, which I do find very useful. But apart from that, I mean, take a look around. It maybe feels a little bit out of date. but generally it's worn quite well. The driving position is nice and comfy, visibility is great. I think this is a car that you could still do lots of miles in and be very happy with. Should we talk trims quickly? So the e-Niro, it was actually pretty well equipped from the beginning. The smaller battery, it was only offered in the entry level 2 trim. Now, even with that though, climate control, part leather seats, keyless entry, adaptive cruise control, auto lights and wipers, a smaller infotainment screen though, and no navigation, which was a bit annoying. But to be honest, you did get Apple CarPlay, so you'd have to just plug your phone in via the USB input and you'd be fine for navigation. But the bigger battery model, however, definitely my favourite choice, because you could get that in the 3 or the 4 trim, or there was also a launch edition that was sold about a year after the car arrived. But any of them are brilliant, to be honest. The 3, you get leather heated seats, this infotainment system, which is actually a 10-inch touchscreen with navigation. You've also got the physical shortcut buttons down here. Honestly, it is really good. I mean, the only thing, the graphics maybe look a little bit dated, but it works and it's relatively easy to navigate, so it does everything without too much of a fuss. As for the back seats, well, you get a decent leg and headroom, so this will be fine if you've got a couple of lanky teens back here. There's also a couple of pairs of Isofix and some vents, but no charging ports, so remember to pack the power banks if you're worried about keeping the kids' devices charged up. Now, I'm pretty impressed with the boot space, I've got to say. It's got 451 litres of space with the seats up, and they do fold down flat in a 60-40 split, by the way. But this is more boot space than you get in the much newer VW ID3, just for a bit of context. So it really is pretty good. You'll easily get a buggy or a couple of pretty big dogs in there. It's kind of the ideal used family hatch. Right, should we go for a drive? Come on, let's drive. Okay, so we've been through the different battery options, which of course is going to affect the performance, depending on which one you went for. So the smaller battery, only 136 horsepower, quite a lot less than the 204 that I've got in this test car. This is the 64 kilowatt hour battery, and it means that you can do 0 to 62 in 7.8 seconds. Pretty rapid. I mean, I remember when those kind of figures were hot hatch territory. So not too shabby. It has enough power that it feels fast. You can chuck it into sport mode and actually you can have quite a lot of fun in it. But generally for day-to-day driving, because I'm a sensible mother of 3, I keep it in normal, and that's perfect for driving around town, to be honest. Brake pedal has a nice response. I think it just all works very nicely together. It is all at one. Ride comfort, again, it's quite good too. It's quite a light car, it's softly sprung, so it feels quite comfortable, even though there are terribly patched up roads here in the UK. There's quite a bit of body roll into the corners, but I don't think it's enough that are gonna make the kids feel sick. Big shout out for the brake regen system, because Kia, you nailed this first time round. I mean, we still talk about it now. It's legendary. We do really rate it in the Kia and the Hyundai models as well, because you've got the option of one pedal driving. You've got 3 fixed levels for the regen. Up here, the paddles on the steering wheel, and then you've got different options with the adaptive levels. So you can toggle through the different paddles. It's smooth, it's predictable, and you can choose exactly which mode you prefer. I actually personally quite like level 2, the adaptive function on. Gives a nice kind of balance. It's not as harsh as one pedal. I think it kind of works for most situations. I mean, you might turn it up if you're, driving around town, or maybe turn it down if you're on the motorway, depending on what you like. I do have one criticism of the e-Niro though. This is a front-wheel drive car, and it's got quite a bit of power and torque, so it does spin its tyres up pretty easily. And that means it can go through tyres quite quickly. So it's just as important as ever to get good tyres from a reputable brand, because that's going to help you minimise the tyre scrabble that you can get in even pretty modest getaways in the e-Niro. Now, one thing that isn't a secret about this car is Kia's warranty. It is one of the best out there, and I think the company has actually built a brilliant reputation off its 7-year 100,000 mile warranty. Small caveat, I'm going to say, there was a recall of some cars built in 2020 due to a coolant leak, but that has all been sorted. Wouldn't worry about it too much, but be aware of it. Apart from that, I mean, there've been a few gremlins with owners with the infotainment system, a few complaints about rattles in the cabin, but honestly, otherwise, this is one of the most reliable used electric cars you can buy today. It's earned a really great reputation for exactly that. It's also really popular with taxi drivers because of that range and reliability. So bear that in mind because there's quite a few former taxis out there on offer at the moment. So conclusion, well, what more can I say really? I think you get the idea. It doesn't get much more reliable and recommendable than this. Okay, it might look like a marine mammal of some kind, a manatee, a blobfish, I'm not sure. It's not the most attractive thing, but droop your nose aside, this is a gem of a used EV. However, if you do fancy something different, well, the alternative to things like the Hyundai Kona, same platform, same battery options, or there's one of the early VW ID3s. There's also the Renault Megane E-Tech. That could be an option there around the 10,000 mark these days. Lots of options. Personally, I think I'd go for the Kia just because of the reliability, but head to electrifying.com or scan the QR code because you can go shopping and compare all the used EVs on the market at the moment.